truth. It is the fundamental ingredient for human life.
During a weekday morning mass at Holy Name of Jesus in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, Father Jim Connell uses part of his sermon to discuss the Catholic clergy sex abuse scandal.
What actually happened? Who knew what? When did they know it? And what did they do with the information?
Father Connell was vice chancellor of the Archdiocese of Milwaukee until mandatory retirement kicked in last year. Given his rank in the church, he is an unlikely public critic of how his archdiocese has handled the ongoing sex abuse scandal and battled victims over compensation.
There's a sense of secrecy at that top level, and I would hope that starting with the Holy Father, the Pope Benedict XVI would tell the cardinals and tell the bishops, talk, open up, let it all be known.
Connell agrees with victims here in Milwaukee who say the Archdiocese has taken an especially hard line to keep abuse cases secret and to protect its money. Attorney Jeff Anderson represents hundreds of clergy abuse victims from around the country.
The Archdiocese of Milwaukee has been particularly deceitful because they've been insulated for so long. They felt and believed they could get away with it.
For decades, Wisconsin's state law prevented most victims of sexual abuse from filing lawsuits, which protected the church. When that changed, critics say the Archdiocese prepared for upcoming lawsuits by moving its money.
Church financial records show $55 million buried here in a cemetery trust fund. The church says the money was paid by people who bought burial plots expecting perpetual maintenance at 8 archdiocese cemeteries. Marquette University law professor Ralph Anzavino says if any money was moved to protect it from abuse victims, the diocese may have broken the law.
That's what's called a fraudulent conveyance under the law. You can't, in anticipation of insolvency, transfer assets away from yourself for your own benefit.
Abuse victims cried foul about the cemetery fund and other transfers, including a $74 million parish deposit fund. They point to this line from the minutes of a 2003 Archdiocese Financial Council meeting about abuse cases that reads, "We are working on a plan to shelter the parish deposit fund." In December, a bankruptcy judge stated that the parish fund transfers were fishy but legal. Father Connell says the Archdiocese should have been more open about the transfers.
The motivation for them moving the money, I'm not sure, but it needs explanation. Right back to our same word, explain why we're doing this. The cemeteries we talked about with moving money out of, that ought to have been explainable.
Who could explain? New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan, now arguably the most powerful Catholic in the U.S. He was Archbishop of Milwaukee when the Cemetery Trust Fund was established and when the $74 million parish deposit fund was moved.
Archbishop Dolan, now Cardinal Dolan, made a conscious decision to secretly and in a quite sinister way move funds into parishes and transfer funds into other corporations to avoid having to pay the survivors.
Ridiculous, says the Cardinal. This was his response in February of 2011 when the allegations of sheltering the money first surfaced.
To think that there was $130 million in hidden funds, like Dolan's got some offshore account in the Cayman Islands or something, this is just ludicrous.
Cardinal Dolan declined an interview with CNN. The attorney representing the Cemetery Trust Fund says the obligation to maintain the cemeteries never ends. No one knows for sure how much is enough. An ultimate win for the victims could open up not only the $55 million in the cemetery trust, but future cemetery earnings. A win for the church could provide a blueprint for other dioceses going through bankruptcy and could propel Dolan's reputation in the eyes of the Vatican as the guardian of the American Church. Meanwhile, the Archdiocese is spending millions in legal fees to protect its money and reputation, which Father Connell believes needs to stop.
It's the love of money, maybe that translates into greed, that is the root of all evils. And that seems to be what I see playing out in this situation. What's under the lid? What is being hidden? How embarrassing can it be?
For now, the position of the church is pitting potential obligations to living abuse victims against the care of the dead. Ted Rowlands, CNN, Milwaukee.